The air in the abandoned building was thick with dust and the faint scent of decay. My friends and I had stumbled upon what seemed to be an ancient art gallery hidden away from the world. It stood like a forgotten relic, its windows shattered and doors creaking on rusty hinges. Intrigued by the prospect of discovering hidden treasures, we decided to explore the place. Little did we know that we were about to step into a nightmare called the Shadow Gallery. As we entered, the atmosphere grew colder, sending shivers down our spines. The walls were adorned with paintings, each more eerie than the last. The colors were muted, and the depictions were hauntingly beautiful, like scenes from nightmares that had escaped into the waking world. We wandered through the gallery, drawn deeper into the unsettling ambience. The paintings were unsettling on their own, but as night descended, an otherworldly hush fell upon the gallery. The once still canvases began to stir with life. Brushstrokes twisted and contorted, creating a surreal dance of shadows that seemed to move independently from the dim light of our flashlights. It was as if the paintings were breathing, inhaling the darkness and exhaling the tales of tragedy they held within. In the dim glow, we noticed that each painting told a story of sorrow and despair. One depicted a forlorn figure standing alone in a desolate landscape, surrounded by skeletal trees. Another portrayed a weeping woman in a tattered wedding gown, her tears turning into blood as they fell. The scenes were nightmarish, and yet we couldn't tear our eyes away from them. As we delved deeper into the gallery's labyrinthine corridors, we stumbled upon a particularly disturbing painting. It showed a group of friends, people who looked remarkably like us, standing before the same gallery we now found ourselves in. Their faces wore expressions of terror, mirroring the unease we felt at that very moment. The realization that we might be part of the next morbid masterpiece tightened the knot in our stomachs. Desperation and fear fueled our quest to unravel the mystery behind the Shadow Gallery. We began researching the history of the place, uncovering a dark tale that had been shrouded in secrecy for decades. Legend had it that the gallery was cursed, its origins tracing back to a tormented artist who had sold his soul to create works that could capture the essence of human suffering. Rumors spoke of a ritual conducted within the gallery's walls, an occult ceremony that infused the paintings with a malevolent energy. The artist's twisted desire for immortality manifested in the cursed canvases, trapping the souls of those who dared to enter. As we delved deeper into the lore, the hairs on the back of our necks stood on end. With the knowledge that time was running out, we decided to confront the source of the curse, the artist's studio hidden within the depths of the gallery. The air grew thicker as we descended into the bowels of the building, each step echoing with the ominous sound of our own apprehension. As we reached the studio, we discovered an ancient easel covered in a tattered black cloth. The air was heavy with an oppressive silence that seemed to scream at us to turn back. With trembling hands, we unveiled the easel, revealing a blank canvas waiting for the next chapter in its accursed story. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted and the room was engulfed in an otherworldly glow. Shadows coalesced, forming the visage of the tormented artist who had damned himself for eternity. His hollow eyes stared into our souls, and a guttural voice echoed through the chamber, recounting tales of tragedy and woe. The room seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy as the paintings on the walls flickered and warped. It was a grotesque symphony of horror, and we realized that the only way to break the curse was to create a new painting, one that depicted an act of compassion and redemption. With newfound determination, we seized brushes and paints, working frantically to create a masterpiece that would counteract the malevolence within the gallery. As strokes of color merged on the canvas, the artist's spectral form writhed in agony, his ethereal wails reverberating through the studio. As the last brushstroke fell, the room fell silent, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The cursed paintings reverted to their static forms, and the glow dissipated. We stood in the aftermath, breathing heavily, our eyes fixed on the canvas that held the key to our salvation. The air was no longer thick with despair, and a sense of triumph mingled with the lingering unease. We had broken the curse of the Shadow Gallery, but the memories of that haunted place would forever be etched in our minds. As we stepped out into the light of dawn, the abandoned gallery stood behind us, a silent testament to the horrors we had faced and the darkness we had overcome.